I do want to go over the other member of the five families. The Roman army traveled across the state to go play their blood rival, the Auburn Tigers tonight, down 10 with 10 minutes to go, hadn't moved the ball, hadn't figured a way to get first downs with some type of consistency, hadn't been able to get Auburn off the field. And they turn around and win it. A 99-yard drive. Yes, a 99-yard drive within 90 seconds of the ball game. Freshman quarterback and Heisman candidate Bryce Young leads the Roman Army down 10-3, needs a touchdown, gets it. Go back and forth in overtime. Greatest coach in college of all time. Finds a way to win. What did you take away from this performance, Trevor Knight, by Alabama?
It's a Heisman performance out of Bryce Young. To watch the guy battle in a rivalry game on the road at Jordan-Hare, which obviously the history of that rivalry game. Yes, Alabama is the Roman Army. They go in there and they push those guys around more often than not. But you see in history with the kick six and years like that where a subpar, and not subpar, but a much inferior Auburn team will compete and sometimes give themselves a chance to win the football game. But you saw Bryce Young lead that team down the field, 99 yards, a massive fourth down throw to keep it alive, and then just puts a dime there in the corner of the end zone to give them a shot to go into overtime. He was poised. That, in my opinion, is his Heisman moment. I think it was a battle of him and C.J. Stroud today in their performances. And I don't think C.J. Stroud played bad.
Agreed.
He had the Heisman moment that we've all been looking for all year long. Man, what an incredible game to watch there in the Iron Bowl.
I'm going to go Hack then Bryce. Hack, were you impressed by Alabama's resolve, or were you disappointed by the fact that they found themselves down and had to fight, battle, and escape out of there?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't have an opinion either way. I think if you're Alabama, you got to be proud of the fight of the kids, and that's tough. But I think it goes back to the point that I've been saying for the past 3 weeks, is that I think Alabama is very gettable. I think this game helps them. I think it gives them another example of their ability to win some tight games, which is inevitably going to happen when you start talking about playoffs and championships and things of that nature. There's going to be some tight games, and you're going to need to have had to cut your teeth in some of these experiences, especially with a young quarterback. So I think it's good for the growth of your team and development of that position. But I still just think Alabama is very gettable this year, as opposed to previous years where you were pretty certain that Alabama was going to be going on and playing the national championship. I think they're beatable this year, very beatable in normal situations. They're mortal. So,
Bryce, are you aligned with Hack? Yes, they're beatable because it seems like most of the country is, but are you impressed? Are you disappointed? Or they just look vulnerable? What's your impression after you see what happened tonight in Auburn?
No, I'm certainly impressed. I mean, this is rivalry weekend. And if I have to say rivalry one more time, I'm going to throw something because I can't say it without fumbling over it. But the idea of this weekend is literally to trip up the person or the team that's supposed to win. That's the whole
knows
point.
you the best.
Yeah, I mean, because these guys circle this, and for you guys and girls out there that don't know, I mean, this goes way back. This isn't just this game. This goes back to recruiting. You have camps with the same guys that are going to Auburn that maybe didn't get a scholarship to Alabama, or vice versa, or that picked Auburn over Alabama, or vice versa. So there's so much that go into these games, and even the Oklahoma game, Ohio State, Michigan game. I mean, you see it. These games, there's so much hype to it. That's what's so beautiful about this game. It's about this is truly, and my esteemed colleague Trevor Knight always says it, is just, can you find a way to win? Where I get so pissed off at him saying that about Oklahoma against Kansas, because that to me isn't a game. But the Oklahoma State game, the Auburn, Alabama game, it is truly finding a way to win, because you are going to go 12 rounds. You just very rarely ever see a game where there's a blowout in these type of games, because there's so much emotion to it and just physicality, in the trenches, from a schematic standpoint, and just what goes into the week of a rivalry game for coaches, students, and all that play. So I loved it, man. I thought this was, to Trevor's point, definitely a Heisman moment. To Hack's point, the fact that they're gettable. I mean, if you didn't watch Nick Saban's interview last week that kind of went viral, it's one of the most incredible. Oh gosh, it's so incredible, because the thing is, I mean,
we'll break it down to people who didn't see it, Bryce.
Well, I mean, it's an 8-minute spiel, but the gist of it is that there's so much expectation on the Alabama football team, to where people and fans out there get upset when they're not blowing people out. And the beauty about that is the fact that us in the media and us couch quarterbacking and all this kind of stuff get so enthralled with saying that Alabama is gettable. When you have an Alabama team that doesn't just throttle people week in and week out, it's like, man, this is great.
But that's their expectation, though. I mean, they've earned that.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, that's what's made them such a dynasty for as long as Nick Saban's been there, is because we're finally getting to say that they're gettable. Finally getting to say that, man, it's a 2-win Alabama team. And there's nothing against what you're saying, Hack, because I totally believe it. I'm like, man, these guys are gettable. But the idea is that when you play this sport, and all four of us, on this Zoom, Dagan, I'm not sure if you played. I feel like if you did, you're probably a kicker or punter. That's totally fine too. But the idea is that this game is so hard. It's so hard to win week in and week out, and we always say it. But to be able to do it for as long as Nick Saban has, and still have the criticism of a fan base to win the right way, or the way that they just expect them to, that's a crazy, I'll use Reese Davis's term, albatross on your shoulders to get off, just because it is so hard to win in this league, in the SEC or the West Division. So the idea that they do it the way they did it today, doesn't matter if Auburn's a 6-5 team or not. Auburn has had this game circled for the entire year. And it's what these guys work for, even, hell, in the weight room, running gassers, in camp, summer training, doesn't matter. So all that being said, my hat's off to them, because they played a hell of a game, and I'm certainly impressed that they got through this and they did what they needed to do to get to Atlanta for the SEC championship game.
Okay, Dagan said we do have a little bit more time left in the broadcast. Thank you, Bryce. We do have a few.
Oh God.
Hey, so my impression, just quick on this Alabama game, and Hack and I talked about it. To Trevor's point, Bryce's point, you have the Roman army who normally marches in, tramples your village, keeps it moving. It's business. They don't even litter when they trash your village. I mean, they stomp your village. They don't litter. They just keep rolling straight through. Tonight, you saw a little bit of 300 Spartan mode in them. 99-yard drive. Twice they had the ball on the one with under 5 minutes left and under 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. No penalties, no missed assignments, and along they come. And we're accustomed to maybe seeing that with a A.J. McCarron or some of these older quarterbacks who have been through all the battles. This is Bryce Young's first trip around the track, and he's settled in and doing that. It isn't the best Roman army we've ever seen. This is just the Roman army General Saban has, and he's using what he has to the best of his abilities and their abilities. Explosive, no. Vulnerable, yes. Still on track to go into the dance and do some real damage. This is exciting. We got some questions flowing in from the producers. Here we go. Oh, this looks like it's going to Trevor, are you familiar with Red Brick Bar in Norman?
I am.
We have two ladies down there right now, Kaylee and Lauren, who are sitting there with all their girls. They're watching. They said, I think I'm doing that right. Can the Sooners really win it all this year? That's what they want to know. In your opinion, them at their best, can the Sooners win it all? Assuming they get in, can they win it all?
Well, obviously, based on the outcome of tonight's game, that's impossible at this point. Coming into tonight, I think it was still a far out chance just with the way that we've won, the way that we've played this year, struggled through games, but found a way to win, which gave us a glimmer of hope. But dropping this one tonight, not going to the Big 12 championship game, not going to have a seat at the table. Obviously, we can't win it all. Still a 10-win season. It's disappointing in Norman for all those people because they wanted a shot to go 7 in a row, but 10-win season, just not the year to get over the hump.
What about let's just keep it in the state. What about Oklahoma State? Can you give the girls anything for Oklahoma State?
I think Oklahoma State's got a shot. They've obviously proven that they've got a shot to get a seat at the dance. I don't think anybody's got a shot to win it all at this point. I think Georgia has shown that they are the team to beat. Everybody else is playing for second place. They continue to separate themselves week in and week out. And so it's battle for second place. They could potentially get a seat in the dance, but they aren't winning.
Go ahead, Hank.
So with a Baylor win, how are they jumping a one-loss Notre Dame or an undefeated Cincinnati?
With a Baylor win, they're not getting in.
It wasn't the question.
No, I'm saying with a Baylor win, like they beat Baylor, right? So they're still a one-loss team, and they're basically going to have to jump a Notre Dame team, who's also going to be a one-loss team.
So wait,
a possible undefeated Cincinnati team.
We're gonna go into playoffs. We're gonna go into the playoffs. For those of you riding with us, we're gonna go over all.
I'm excited.
Since Hack opened that up, Hack, we got something coming in here from Bar 327 in Ann Arbor. I assume you don't know much about Bar.
I've never been there, but I'll listen.
Here comes the question.
Who's it from?
From Rob and Jeff. Bar 327.
Sound like Michigan men.
It seems like everyone's talking about the 4 best teams making it to the playoffs. Who are the 4 best coaching staffs in America, and don't they dictate what happens? Great question.
Ooh.
Who are the 4 best coaching staffs in America?
Wow. Yeah.
And don't they dictate what happens?
Right. Like, basically, are we seeing the 4 best staffs alive? As a coach.
That's hard, man. I mean, obviously, you got to respect Saban and what he's doing. I think the way that Kirby's developed everything down at Georgia and what he's ultimately built that to deserves a lot of credit. The hires he's made, the people he's put around him. There's a lot of damn good coaches out there, man. And it's hard to narrow it down. I mean, it just depends on what you're gauging success on. If you're gauging success on consistent competition for championships, I mean, Dabo's in that conversation. Even though this year they had a little slip up, he's still in that conversation. He's had sustained success. Like I said, Kirby, I think, Nick. A lot of these guys are ironically Nick Saban proteges.
Yeah.
But then just even looking in the Big Ten, I mean, Kirk Ferentz has a 10-win team with a averages friggin' piss team, top to bottom. He's got a 10-win season.
There, Hack?
They are. They don't do anything flashy. They don't do anything flashy, and they get things done. And Kirk Ferentz, I think, is a hell of a football coach. And then you could argue for Mel Tucker, what he's done at Michigan State. So there's a lot of damn good football coaches. I think it just depends on what you gauge success. And that'll be my answer without having to start Googling stuff.
There you go. That's for Rob and Jeff. Hopefully you guys are watching. Yes, basketball season started, but it's good to see you guys are watching a little bit of football.